Hey guys, PIEGUYRULZ here, and welcome back to Rectangle Theory. So, why is it that Sandy is so underused on the show in comparison to the other main characters? She doesn't appear nearly as much, or really get as much to do when she does show up. Before I go into my theory as to why I think this is, let's talk a little bit about her character and the many roles she plays on SpongeBob. So Sandy exists to be the ironic fish out of water, being that she's like the opposite of that. She's the mammal in water, I suppose. Although whales are also mammals in water. You get my point. She exists to be the fish out of water. She exists to do karate with SpongeBob. She exists to do science. She exists to occasionally be the voice of reason. And she exists for a fifth reason that I'm blanking on right now. Let me check my notes. She exists to also look tough in comparison to SpongeBob. Because sometimes SpongeBob is portrayed as a weenie, so we need someone who looks tough in comparison to him to really emphasize that point in certain episodes. In the first 4 seasons, she appeared 44 times and had a major appearance in at least 17 of those episodes. In Season 5, she got a major downgrade. The only time she really did anything of importance was in Whatever Happened to SpongeBob. Sure, she's in other episodes like Pest of the West, as well as Lennis Square Panis, and she has kind of a minor ensemble role with the rest of the cast in episodes like No Nose Nose, but she doesn't really get the spotlight at all, ever, in Season 5. Like, even what she does do isn't much. Which is kind of ironic considering I themed that season's slides after her. But yeah, in Season 5, she really got downgraded. In Season 6, she only appears 10 times, and she's not the focus in any of them. In Season 7, she does a little bit better, getting 2 team-up episodes with Plankton, as well as a rodeo episode, though that one is also more about SpongeBob than her, but still, she is the focus of the episode, so to speak. And she also appears in a few other episodes, including SpongeBob's Last Stand. Wait, no, she doesn't appear in SpongeBob's Last Stand. That's Sandy Squirrel. I keep making that mistake. According to the SpongeBob wiki, seasons 8 and 9 seem to be using Sandy a lot more. And while I don't know the exact capacity because I have not seen the episodes, it definitely looks like things have made a turn for the better. However, even if things have changed currently, I still think my theory and what I have to say in the video are still relevant to at least what was going on with SpongeBob in seasons 5, 6, and 7. I also want to clarify and say that this isn't a pre-movie versus post-movie thing, as even in the pre-movie, Sandy didn't appear that much. It's just that when she did appear, she typically got more prominent of a role than she did in seasons 5, 6, and 7, and back in the earlier seasons, there weren't as many episodes as there were in the later ones. So statistically, it looks a little bit better for 1 through 4. My whole point in saying all of this is just how much of a shame it is that the writers don't use her more often. You have untapped potential here. She does a lot of different things on the show, and she doesn't get to appear that often, so writing her in like a little bit more would not be a difficult thing to do. It should not have taken 7 seasons for her to interact with Plankton in a meaningful way, and she hardly interacts with most of the rest of the cast aside from SpongeBob to begin with. It's really kind of weird that we don't really know much about her relationship with Squidward or Mr. Krabs. You think they would have developed that a little bit more. You think that there's just an easy episode right there. You think, oh, team up. Okay, let's team Mr. Krabs and Sandy up. See where there's common ground between the two or something. And for all I know, maybe they have made an episode like this, or they will. But the fact that it took over 7 seasons to get there is just really strange to me when it feels like they're reaching for plots a lot of the time. Heck, I would really like to see an episode that's about Sandy and Squidward teaming up in some sort of, I don't know, maybe a buddy cop episode. Yeah, you could call it something like Cheeks and Tentacles. Don't call it Cheeks and Tentacles, but it's a good idea and you know it. So, why is it exactly that Sandy is so underused? Well, my personal theory on this, and it is just a theory, I have no evidence to back this up other than what makes logical sense, is that the writers simply forget about her. And my reasoning for this is that every other main character on the show, not including like Pearl or Mrs. Puff, exists in one of 2 locations, sometimes in both. SpongeBob Street and the Krusty Krab. On SpongeBob Street, you have SpongeBob, Gary, Patrick, and Squidward. meaning that if an episode takes place in SpongeBob's house, Gary's definitely going to be there. Squidward might end up showing up. SpongeBob might be running next door. More often than not, Patrick will be hanging around in some capacity. It's the street. They're all right there. If you're writing an episode, even if it has nothing to do with Squidward or Patrick, you're probably going to want to include one of them, if nothing else, but for just like a quick gag or something. And the other location is the Krusty Krab, which is a very commonly seen location on SpongeBob, which you have SpongeBob, Squidward, Mr. Krabs. Patrick eats there a lot sometimes, but he's not always there. And then right across the street, right there, is Plankton and Karen to an extent, which it's kind of weird, but Karen is really more of a main character than Sandy is. She gets more appearances and everything. But yeah, every character's right there. So if you're writing a story where SpongeBob's behind the grill, well, Squidward is right there. Mr. Krabs is right in his office, next to SpongeBob. Plankton, if it's a Plankton episode, he's gonna come in and steal the formula. It's not unnatural for him to do that. And like I said, it's not even unnatural for Patrick to be eating at the Krusty Krab or even working at the Krusty Krab. That happens in more than one occasion. So that just kind of leaves Sandy as the odd one out. Now, I'm not saying that Sandy can't eat at the Krusty Krab or show up at SpongeBob's house, but you have to specifically write her to do so. It's not just a natural process when you're writing the episode. It's not like, oh, well, this character's right here, so let's involve them. You have to specifically go out of your way to think, is SpongeBob, are we going to have an episode where SpongeBob goes to the Tree Dome? Or are we going to have an episode where Sandy specifically goes to the Krusty Krab or specifically goes to SpongeBob's house? Meaning that it's typically only going to be whenever she's, important. She isn't going to show up that often, just kind of as a supporting character or as a one-off gag character, as much as the other characters, because she simply doesn't fit in quite as well as everyone else on the show in regards to these two locations. Additionally, I think kind of like a secondary backup theory on that is that Sandy is like the most logical and intelligent character on the show, although she definitely has her moments of illogicness. She has her illogical moments as well, but she's definitely more reasonable than SpongeBob, meaning if you want to do the SpongeBob and Patrick are ignorant to the world around them plots, Sandy isn't really going to fit in well there, because it doesn't really make sense why Sandy wouldn't just be like, SpongeBob, yeah, you're kind of like brutalizing Squidward over there. You should probably stop that. I think he's in a lot of pain. That, but with a Texas accent. So yeah, I don't think she really fits into that archetype, and I guess that kind of goes hand in hand with the kind of dumbing down that the show did, especially in regards to like the 6th season in particular. But yeah, there you go. That's my reasoning. I think they just forget because not because they're like bad writers or anything, but just because Sandy doesn't necessarily fit naturally into the ecosystem of SpongeBob without you having to specifically write her in to do so. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. PIEGUYRULZ, out.